If you can use a little bit of wit to sort of get people to laugh at something, that is a really good way of opening the door to discussion about something.
And that, by the way, was probably like a triggered behavior, like, oh shit, I'm going to be in trouble if I don't do something about this. When really, if she was offended, she could have been the one that went up and slapped him.
If somebody's making fun of you and you can laugh with everybody else, well, now all of a sudden, like, there's no power there. There's nothing.
No. Bullying, you've clearly never been through, because bullying is when somebody makes a joke like that, sees that they're offended by it, and then keeps making the joke because they want to hurt that person.
And that's what I'm saying about third party offense. You know, like, you're being offended for somebody who isn't even, you're not even part of that club.
A Hittite, and a Hittite walk into a bar.
All right, welcome to yet another kitchen sink microscopy. I'm Eric Rosenblatt, and hey, we would love it if you'd hit the little thumbs up to like, or I don't know, you could dislike. It doesn't matter anymore. Share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell too. That'd be nice if you want notifications. I mean, I've heard stories that people get unsubscribed automatically and don't receive notifications, but be it futile, hit it anyway. We'd love it.
And I'm Casey Rochford, and we also happen to be musicians, and said music that we make as musicians can be found right down there at the end of the episode. So stick around, hear a little bit of the song, and then when your ears are like, oh, it's over, I want the whole thing, well, then you can go to patreon.com/KSMVidcast or Spotify or iTunes or Amazon Music or Google What's It. Anyway, they're all over the place. We're all over the interwebs in various ways, shapes, and forms, because we're just like that, B-level famous. So what would you like to talk about tonight?
Well, Chrome Dome, I thought you might possibly have had the idea.
All right, Chris Rock.
Which I think this kind of illustrates sort of what our topic is going to be.
Yeah, there's a few different ways to go with that. There's, like hurt feelings or violent reactions to words or jokes being taken way too seriously. Like, there's a lot to talk about there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is.
And even though by now people have probably mostly forgotten the whole Will Smith, Chris Rock thing, the premise is something that pops up all the time.
Oh yeah. Well, and with that particular situation, it kind of makes sense, because Chris Rock made a joke about Will Smith's wife, and in fact, if you see the video, at first he was kind of like laughing about it, but then her reaction, I mean, you can see the two of them. He's like, ha, and she's kind of like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And then things quickly change, and he gets all pissed off and goes up on stage and slaps Chris Rock. And and that's a more personal thing. Like it's pretty much like kind of a direct insult, I guess, for comedic effect. So I could kind of get that. What I don't understand is people like third party being offended for other people that aren't them. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you're not part of this particular group or whatever, and you're being offended for somebody else. Even if you're in a room full of those people, whatever tribe or what group or whatever, if they're all having a ball and laughing and stuff, there are people on the outside who are like, oh, that's totally wrong, you shouldn't have said that. But it's like, but the people that are being talked about, or that are kind of, I guess, essentially the butt of the joke, they love it, they're laughing. Like,
Yeah.
I love that kind of thing. Like, I don't mind people making fun of nerds and stuff.
Roast comedy is some of the best stuff. Like, people sit there and be like, it's not funny, and try to police what humor should be and all that stuff. And that really ticks me off. Like, like, there's a certain level of wit that's involved. I mean, like, back in the day, you would have equated her to Sinead O'Connor, which probably wouldn't even have been as funny, but like, she's an actress, and there was a movie with an actress who shaved her head, and like, he correlated the two.
Yeah, it was G.I. Jane.
Yeah, G.I. Jane, and he,
good movie, by the way.
Yeah, and Demi Moore was hot. So like, where's the fucking insult here? Like, hair is just hair. It's an accoutrement, really. Like, we do stuff with it. Yeah, I do understand how much it sucks to go bald, but like, I've made the best of it, and so is she. Like, she's empowered. She's like, I'm gonna own this, and she doesn't hide behind a wig or anything. So it's like, is she really that sensitive about it?
Well, and let's not forget that I remember an issue of TV Guide where Patrick Stewart was voted the sexiest man on TV.
Mm-hmm.
A bald guy.
People will say that, like, it's different for women, and I'll accede to that point, because socially we are used to seeing women with long hair, or just hair in general, right? And not that she's got the autoimmune alopecia areata that gives you like little random patchy, like completely my head kind of bald spots. She just has like thinning, and she buzzes her hair, and it looks like she chose to buzz her hair. You wouldn't know if you weren't like glued to People magazine that she has alopecia.
Yeah, you just think like, oh, that's her style.
Yeah,
that's totally
like,
fine. I mean,
I didn't know it until this all happened.
I didn't
even know she had a short haircut. Like, I don't pay attention to celebrities that much.
Yeah, same here. And I mean, yes, I do like a little bit of hair, because I like to kind of tug on it a little bit in certain instances, shall we say.
And she's got a good shaped head, though.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't make somebody unattractive if they have short hair, a buzz cut, a bald head, or something. I mean, women, as a connoisseur of women, I don't find bald women to be unattractive. I think, I mean, because like, people are attractive in a lot of different ways and stuff. So I don't know, but this whole making fun or poking fun at people thing, like, I think it's like dark humor. There's a reason why it exists. Like, I think it serves a valuable purpose. And humor in general, to make fun of really tragic things, is a very human thing. I mean, if you listen to doctors in hospitals and nurses and stuff, they're always cracking like really dark jokes.
Yeah.
And it's a way to cope with something that, how else can you cope with it? If the gods are against you, like what else do you have except just kind of laughing at the situation? And why can't people laugh together? Why can't, there's this confusion, I think, that people have, that if you're making fun of something or someone, that you're belittling them. Yeah. But I don't think that's necessarily the case. Oh, hi, Floyd.
It's very rarely the case, actually.
It really is, yeah.
And we can't really ignore the fact that there's a huge level of hypocrisy in, like, people being like, oh, you shouldn't make fun of somebody for being bald. And these are the same people that have no problem making toupee jokes about Donald Trump. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, that's a good. That's
so
really
why
good
is it okay for one and not the other? Like, tell me that, and then, you know.
Yeah, and exactly the hypocrisy of it all. Like, there are people who make fun of. I mean, I think everybody sort of cracks jokes about a lot of. Hi, Floyd. Yes. Well, I mean, humans like humor. That is a coping mechanism for. It's also kind of a way to let go a little bit and sort of just, geez, God, hi. But you know, if you're going through a difficult thing, whatever it is, or you're in a difficult position, humor is a good way to kind of level things out a little bit, like produce a bit of balance where you know, because if you can like laugh at something, all of a sudden it has no power anymore.
Oh yeah,
you know, like
not everybody has learned that yet.
No, but like,
it's usually how I can tell somebody hasn't been through quite enough shit, because like, if you haven't learned to laugh at misfortune, count yourself lucky, I guess.
Yeah,
you know, because if you've seen the shit I've seen and weren't able to laugh at it, you probably would have blown your brains out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've come close.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, is like, if you can turn that negative energy into positive energy in the form of humor, well, you've taken control of that situation. I mean, you gotta, what else do you have? You gotta laugh at things. Like, as long as it's not somebody just pointing at somebody and laughing because of how they are. It's like, if you can use a little bit of wit to sort of get people to laugh at something, that is a really good way of opening the door to discussion about something.
Yeah, I mean, there was none of that. Like, he didn't make any implication that being bald and being a woman at the same time were ugly or bad or anything to be ashamed of. It was a movie that had kind of, you know, as one of the defining features of it, a woman who had a buzz cut.
Yeah.
And like, that's it. That was the joke. And I think it actually was kind of funny. And so did Will Smith. So
well, yeah, he thought it was until his wife suggested otherwise, I think.
Yeah. And that, by the way, was probably like a triggered behavior, like, oh shit, I'm going to be in trouble if I don't do something about this. When really, if she was offended, she could have been the one that went up and slapped him. Like, that wouldn't have been a big deal, right? Like, what's Will Smith got to do? What's this? Like, everyone's all like, oh, this is chivalry because she was being bullied. And I'm like, no. Bullying, you've clearly never been through, because bullying is when somebody makes a joke like that, sees that they're offended by it, and then keeps making the joke because they want to hurt that person.
Well, exactly. And I think one of the conditions upon that, like, if you can laugh at yourself in that kind of state, or in, you know, given that sort of situation, like, well, you're in charge at that point. You have control. If somebody's making fun of you and you can laugh with everybody else, well, now all of a sudden, like, there's no power there. There's nothing. Like,
Yeah.
and
You know how many times while I had cancer, somebody said, "Hey, Uncle Fester." You know, do you think that offended me? Or like, I mean, it might offend some people, but people said it to me anyway, and I could tell they meant it in a lighthearted way because intent is everything.
yes,
You
and
know,
you
like
can read it. You can read it if you're, I don't know, sixth grade level. Possibly you could read it through body language or inflection and things like
capable
that.
of any kind of social interaction.
Yeah, yeah. It yeah, and hey, by the way, Uncle Fester's cool. Like, he's cool. Like, I would like to be you know, paralleled with him. Like, what a cool dude.
Yeah.
That's a good that's a good thing.
In fact, I just this morning I put out a minute microscopy where I had a little picture of myself doing an Uncle Fester impression.
I just watched that, actually. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which was taken in your living room, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But, you know, that's the thing. It's like, no, I'm not expecting that everybody has to do things the way I do, you know, like using humor as a coping mechanism. But you can't read minds. Like that's the thing that bugs me the most is everybody thinks that you can read minds. It's like, oh, you shouldn't have said that in the first place. You should have known better. You should have known it's going to offend somebody. They also think they know that that person was offended, but they don't know. They're just acting all high and fucking mighty and telling you that you're a piece of shit, and they actually don't even know.
And that's what I'm saying about third party offense, you know.
Mhm.
Like, you're being offended for somebody who isn't even, you're not even part of that club. So I mean,
A high school friend of mine, fan of the show, just today, basically said I'm a piece of shit for having these views, and that I was just like this in high school and I haven't changed a bit. And I'm like, wow, you don't think very highly of me. That's wow. Go ahead and unfriend me. She didn't. But you know, like, so clearly, like, she must not actually mean that, and she just wanted to hurt me. But oh, she's empathetic, and you know.
well, wait a minute. That feels a little bit like the well, that's kind of hypocritical too. Like,
Yeah.
you know, your purpose.
That shit rolls off my back though, because like I know, yeah, I was a dick in high school. I don't remember being a dick to her, and if I was, I'm sorry. You know, but I have gotten better. But I'm not going to like baby people or walk on glass around people. Like, if somebody gets offended by something I say, I'll try not to say it around them. And that's that, you know, like, I don't have to be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have harmed you in this way. I should have known better. It's like, no, how would I know?
Well, yeah, because we're not clairvoyant. So right. How would you know? And yeah, like you said, intent is the thing.
Yeah, you should never apologize for accidents.
Yeah. or just doing things that you didn't realize some obscure implication of.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, well, I didn't realize that you know, making jokes about the Hittites was a thing, because I thought the Hittites were gone. You know, sorry, I guess there's Hittites now.
I don't even know what that is.
No, it's a biblical thing. In fact, it's kind of funny. My uncle, that was his sort of way of making jokes, is he would substitute whatever the subject of the joke was for Hittites, because the Hittites they didn't exist. So, whatever, whatever group or people were the subject of the joke, he would make them be Hittites. It was kind of funny. Uh,
A Hittite, and a Hittite walk into a bar.
yeah, exactly. Oh man. I mean, that's the ultimate in I guess.
It's like Smurfs. Like
Yeah.
Smurf off.
Smurf off. Oh, shit. Well, apparently Floyd's made a big appearance here. Hey,
I
buddy.
mean, sometimes people have been bullied and still kind of don't get it. Like they can't tell the difference between actual bullying and razzing somebody or roasting somebody. I mean, like to mention Trump again, he was roasted a number of years back. And I guess it's a thing, like before the roast, you can say, hey, certain topics are off limits because I might get offended, right?
Yeah.
And, that's cool. And then people don't joke about that or whatever, unless they're a dick. Like that, and that's a situation where ahead of time, like, oh, if I make a joke about this, I'm gonna hurt them.
Yeah.
And what's funny is you would expect him to be like, don't make any jokes about the toupee. No, he said, I don't want anyone to joke about how rich I am. Nothing about the toupee.
Oh yeah. That's totally on the table, but money is off limits.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody was like, oh shit, like 95% of my jokes were like, Donald Trump's so rich,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not that funny.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's not that rich.
Well, yeah. I mean, for people who say things like, well, that isn't funny. Geez, Floyd, you want to get your whole head in my mouth, huh?
Oh yeah, those people are the best. Like, oh, that's not funny. I'm like, well,
but then my question to those people is, well, when have you done stand up? Where show me your credentials. Like how this cat.
Funny is subjective. Like you don't.
Well, yeah, it is. Yeah,
that's the identity fallacy. You don't have to be a comedian to know what funny is. Like funny is whatever makes you laugh. And if you don't think something's funny, that's fine. Keep it to yourself. Like you don't have to like get all religious about it and be like, well, because I think it's not funny, you shouldn't think it's funny. And if you think it's funny, you're the devil.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, Jesus Christ, calm the fuck down, people. Like,
well, I mean,
hipster humanists.
That's oh God, going like, back to minimicroscopy
number one.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is. Like the girl that told me I've been a piece of shit for the last 25 years tried to say she's a humanist, and I was like, I'm a humanist. Like, like I have actual empathy. Like if somebody is dying of cancer, I feel terrible for them. If somebody like gives a little funny look after a bald joke, I'm like, okay, like I'm not like, oh my God, that poor soul, like there's a line that you can cross where you're just becoming like a wet blanket.
Yeah, and I'd like to bring up, because I've seen this sort of a trend happening on TikTok of like people with disabilities making fun of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's good.
Yeah, it is. It totally is, because it's like, for a lot of the reasons outlined before, like, well, the gods handed you a shitty stack of cards. What do you have? I mean, I guess, laugh at it.
Yeah.
That's the best. That's the best defense against that.
Self-deprecation in the way of humor
Mm-hmm.
is self-awareness. It's not
Yeah.
self-hatred. Like you wouldn't be laughing if you hated something, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you would be disdainful and be like, oh my god, like I walk with a limp. I'm a fucking terrible piece of shit. Like that would be like some self-loathing shit, right? But if you're like, oh look at me, I'm Dr. House, like and kind of chuckle about it, that's a good thing. You should encourage that, and you should like test the waters and the boundaries with how much you can play with that too, because that creates a comfort zone with that disability or setback or quirk, whatever it is that somebody might be self-deprecating about.
Yeah.
It's okay, like join in the frivolity and make them feel more comfortable in their own skin. Like,
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
yeah,
Like, people tend, the larger population tends to feel that like making fun of a condition or a person or something or laughing about something dehumanizes people. But when you have somebody who has that condition making jokes about it, well, all of a sudden it like intimately humanizes things and it makes that person so much more real. Um, and makes the whatever, because let's face it, every human has a condition, whatever it
yeah,
is. Everybody has something. Some are more obvious than others, but to be able to sit there and make fun of your state of being, it humanizes you. It makes you approachable, and makes people like, instead of focusing on whatever physical ailment or whatever we have, mental thing, it now all of a sudden, like, well, that doesn't matter, that's a joke now.
yeah.
Well, let's talk about this person, and that's a good thing. We should be doing that more,
Oh yeah.
and laugh with people, like.
I would argue that these hipster humanist hypocrites, uh, and for another H, let's throw in Hittite. Um, I would argue that they're actually making bald women feel more like shit by making a big stink out of this, because it's like if some woman who had to like shave her head and felt a little self-conscious about it heard the GI Jane joke, I don't think she would feel quite as shitty as when all these hipster humanists jump up and are like, shouldn't make fun of a woman for being bald because it's so traumatic to them. It's like, are you telling these bald women that they're ugly?
Yeah, or
Because
that it's
they're not, but you're
um,
making them feel that way. I guarantee it.
yeah, exactly. And if Will Smith's wife had laughed with the joke too, then we
Yeah.
wouldn't be talking about this.
And you
Everybody,
know how I can
oh hey,
guarantee that is because there's all these memes that these same fucking hipster humanists will pass around. Like, if your friend says, "Oh my god, I'm fat," and you say, "No, you're not. You're beautiful." Like that's an instance of them being aware that like if you know use this kind of verbiage or dance around something as though it's making you an ugly person for being that thing,
mm-hmm.
like they do recognize that that's bad. Why can't they apply that to this situation?
Yeah,
Same thing, same exact it's a perfect analogy.
oh yeah,
Like freaking out because somebody made a GI Jane joke about Will Smith's wife having a buzz cut. You're basically saying she's ugly, you dick.
Yeah, exactly. And if everybody just laughed and had a fun time and could joke about things, then it wouldn't matter. It's like, yeah, okay, oh, that was a funny joke.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
this really gets me because I've been bullied quite severely.
mm-hmm.
I've been through a lot of bullshit, and my particular coping mechanism has always been humor. And I don't always think highly of myself, but I do tend to think I've got a pretty good quick wit. And
Mm-hmm.
and that plays into my humor a lot, and there's self-deprecation, and all of that comes from being the butt of jokes which were actually very mean-spirited,
Mm-hmm.
and because I could tell the difference between intent and accident, or just being playful and teasing.
Yeah.
So that really speaks to me, especially when people are like, um, saying that alopecia is a disability. I actually saw someone say that, and it's like, um, I have it. Like I straight up had like the crazy little bald spots, and like mine was cancer related, so I also had like thick wavy hair come in back here, and I always had straight thin hair, and it
Mm-hmm.
was all thick and wavy back here and thin and like splotchy up here, and just looked kind of like I don't know, like I was a leper or something. Ooh, what a dickhead joke, like
Except now you're kind of making fun of yourself at that point.
well, yeah, that was my point. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
people would probably come down on me for making fun of myself just to, like, I don't know, be sanctimonious. Like, I feel like it's all about moral grandstanding for them.
Yeah.
Like, look at how awesome I am. I'm telling someone else how much of a piece of shit they are.
Mm-hmm. That is a very common thing.
Mm-hmm. Rubs me raw. Ugh.
Yeah. Like virtue signaling.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Like,
I'm
shut the
so
fuck up.
awesome because I did this thing.
Yeah.
Like, but you didn't do shit, asshole.
Yeah. They create the problem and then solve it.
Solve.
Right. I mean, that's sorry, but that's exactly what's happening. Like, these squeaky wheels go and say, look how terrible this is, and look how little I do it. Pay no mind to the fact that I do it in other circumstances, just not this one. And I will tear apart your analogy any way possible to make myself look good.
Ooh, man. Good
Mhm.
stuff. Oh
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. People need to be taken down a peg because, like, everybody's got to learn in their own way how to
Mhm.
laugh at misfortune.
Yeah.
It's really the only way to, like, bounce back from it.
Well, and that is one of the ways that it's a way to bring people together, and maybe people who don't necessarily understand something can laugh at a joke and begin to understand things, and people who are going through that thing can also laugh, and everybody can laugh together. And maybe it's not entirely understood by everybody, um
It's
but
about
this idea
power.
that huh
It's about power. So,
well,
like,
yeah.
you can take power away from something that hurts by
Mm-hmm.
laughing at it, by not taking it that seriously. And yeah, it is that easy. I mean, it takes a little conditioning, it takes a little work and a little effort at first, but eventually you kind of start to see that it's so much better to just laugh at stuff.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Can we take a brief moment to laugh at the Kremlin? Okay. That's good.
Like power is basically masses of people convincing themselves that a certain thing is taboo. Whatever that thing is, if like I guess what I'm driving at is like, oh, it's not good to badmouth God or the president or whatever, and you build all this power behind these figureheads or words, like the N word.
No, that should the N word should be used in comedy a lot more.
It should, and black people did the right thing by making it their own. They own it now.
Yeah,
it's their word.
Yep.
Only they get to use it. Like they've kind of turned the table on the power behind that word. And it's like, I mean, I'm not black. I can't say whether or not every black person feels this way, but I would think that anybody in our generation and since probably would not actually feel anywhere near as hurt by being called that now as their grandparents would, because it was a totally different time, a totally different context, and a totally different meaning.
Oh yeah. I have seen black friends of mine use the N-word, calling each other that in
right. But I'm saying, like, if a white person called a black person that now, the impact of that, I think, for most people probably would be quite muted compared to their ancestors, right?
Well, that was my point, is like,
yeah,
when your BFFs are using that word, and then somebody on the outside, an outsider, says that, you're like, oh, whatever. That doesn't you have no power over me.
Yeah. YouTube has the power to demonetize us, so we're not using the word.
We're not going to use that. Yeah. I mean, I guess if we were black, we could maybe.
I mean, we can use the word. Like, if we're just talking about the word in no context other than talking about the word, I don't see a problem with that, and nobody else should either, really.
No, they shouldn't.
Bad words are bullshit. There's no such thing as a bad word.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think, in that particular instance, the more people use it comedically or in a humor stance, the less power it has. And that's a good thing. Like, there shouldn't be words like, because, well, I'm waiting for the day when YouTube makes nerd an offensive word that you can't use, because I had to deal with that shit for decades.
Yep. Yeah, come on, YouTube.
And what is seriously, what is the difference? It is no different. Like,
it was intended to harm.
And and
that's all it is.
It's a word, a derogatory word used based on observable differences. In the case of the N-word, it's people with dark skin, although that's a misplaced word technically. The other N-word, nerd, which I right now can say, it's the same thing. It's like, you see someone with glasses and you're like, oh, you must be a nerd. And people make fun of you, and you deal with the same sort of shit that those people dealt with. It's like,
I wonder if being called a nerd in my youth is why I think girls that wear glasses are like extra hot. Like,
oh, I hadn't thought of that, because I feel the same way.
Yeah. They're like, oh no, I got to put my glasses on. I'm like, oh, that's fine.
Please do. Hey, shall we go upstairs? That's my new speak for let's have sex.
Yeah, I think we got that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But that's actually kind of a poignant thought, because that's an example of me taking something that was intended to harm or offend me and finding the beauty in it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not just glasses, but like the actual act of being intelligent,
Yeah.
knowing things, or like passionately going into like things that you love. Like people equate that with being a nerd too, and it's like if there's something that you're really passionate about, and like you just go and gush about it, like that's cool. Like I'm
Oh
happy
yeah.
for you.
Yeah, yeah. And it's kind of funny. Like, just briefly, I wanted to say, like, a lot of the people who would berate me for being a nerd were sports people, but yet they're nerds too, because they would like geek out over sports stats,
Yeah.
which I didn't know shit about. I didn't care anything about that. But they're like all about like the statistics and all this stuff, and it's like,
And they're cosplayers. Like they put
yeah,
on jerseys. Like
wearing jerseys and so, yeah,
well,
like
here I am. I'm not even a huge sports fan. I'm just like, you know what? Like these guys have never. They're the only team that's never like won the World Series. So like, it's perfect for a nerd to wear something like that.
Well, yeah. But being able to make fun of yourself,
as I just did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like lighten up, people. Seriously, take the stick out of your fucking ass. It'll feel so much better. Like,
Oh, I was gonna say that's what she said, but I don't think that's what she said. Based on my experience, as a nerd.
Let's just assume the stick is up there with no lube, and
Okay.
there's splinters and all kinds of unpleasant.
Oh, ow!
Yeah, like people are way too wound up about trying really hard not to hurt people, and it's like that's a good intention.
Yeah,
but it's possible to take good intentions too far. Like there's countless examples of that. I mean, like you could be like trying to help somebody whose leg is broken or something, and you just like won't leave, and they're like, okay, I can like get my own glass of water. You can go home now, and they're like, no, sit down, it's okay, let me take care of everything. Like you're trying to be nice, but like there comes a point where it goes too far, and then you're just annoying.
Exactly. And
like
and I think maybe I agree that there's nothing wrong with trying to help out your fellow humans.
Right, I'm all for that.
That's a good thing. But it seems like people are very selective about who they help. There's the people of the day, and that's a dead giveaway that well, you really don't care. You're just kind of following whatever politics or the news tells you to care about. Like you should do that regardless of who people are. You help whoever needs help. Isn't that the way?
Yeah.
Like why ignore this group and focus on that group? Like, because really they're want to talk about oppression. Like everybody's been oppressed in one way or another at one point in time or another. it strikes me as a little bit hypocritical, I guess.
Quite a bit.
Hmm.
It's quite hypocritical. Like,
Yeah.
and that's why earlier I was saying, like, they create the problem and then solve it. It's like they've got this insatiable urge to be seen as the hero, and there aren't actually that many circumstances where somebody is
Oh,
like,
oh, no, you. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But it does kind of bring up a thought that wanting to be seen, which is a selfish thing. Like you're not doing something because you feel a desire to help people. You're doing it because you want other people to see that you're helping people.
yeah.
And I think that, well, I mean
at,
that you might as well be David Duke at that point.
yeah. At the time of this recording, I have yet to see Jada Pinkett Smith come out and be like, please help me end jokes about bald women. You know, like she has not come out and said like, please rally behind my position. She hasn't even taken a position. Like, you know, she's okay. She said that the prospect of being bald terrified her. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So like, as like a personal thing, if you know that about her ahead of time, sure, that might be a like dickhead thing to do.
Yeah, and that's fair.
Did Chris Rock know that? I don't know. I didn't know it. It's not common knowledge if I didn't know it. You know, common knowledge is like there's oxygen in the atmosphere. Well, yeah, everybody knows that. That's common knowledge. You know, like celebrity shit is not common knowledge. Sorry.
I mean, maybe from one celebrity to another, they might know that, but maybe not. Like, and
why would they? They're just people.
Yeah.
They're just people too. Like, just because they're celebrities doesn't mean that like their focus is other celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you and I were celebrities, do you think we'd really be like worried about what tie David Arquette is wearing? I mean, you know, like.
Well, I would certainly, if I were a celebrity, I would certainly be concerned with Katy Perry, but that's just me.
Because I mean, if somebody made fun of David Arquette's tie, like if one of us made fun of David Arquette's tie, somebody would be like, "Well, you should have known that he's really sensitive about his ties." I mean, he's probably not. I'm just pulling shit out of my ass here.
No, and that makes sense. And it's like, how much information do you expect a person to glean? Like, how knowledgeable should a person be about things? I mean, just because you know something about a person, intimate details, doesn't mean everybody by extension is going to know the same thing.
Yeah.
Like we can't know that.
Egocentrics, you know, like it's like, oh, because I know this, everybody should, right? Like,
yeah,
no. And condescension to some degree can be entirely innocent and accidental, because it's like, if you're cognizant of that fact that not everybody knows the same things you do, you might start explaining something or mansplaining, you know, if it happens to be somebody of your opposite gender and you have a penis. Like, you might be seen as a dickhead for explaining something that you have no idea whether or not they know, and it might help to know. So you explain it, and
that
then you're a dick.
Like, which what? Doesn't make sense.
Like, why? Why do we have to like find things to make people feel shitty about? Like,
well, and why do we want to feel shitty? Why does it feel like the goal is to be hurt by people, or you know, feel shitty about things? Like, why can't we just all get along? You know, like, I'm gonna invoke Rodney King yet again. Can't we all just get along? Because we should, and assume best intentions. That should be the default stance. Like, if somebody says something you think is offensive or you feel is insensitive or something like that, well, maybe don't jump to the point where they intended to do harm. Maybe start with the premise that well, they were innocent, like that. Maybe they didn't know any better. They had no idea that was a thing.
Like there's two scenarios that can come from somebody mansplaining, for instance. Mm-hmm. So like, let's say, you know, I'm explaining a biological concept to some woman, you know, just because like most people don't go and get a biology degree. So like I'm gonna
wait, you're already mansplaining to me, man.
Yeah. But like it could be that you know this, mm-hmm. and you have two different ways of responding. You could be like, oh yeah, I totally know what you're talking about, or you know, like, you know, just kind of join in the conversation and like merge lanes and be like, oh yeah, and you know what else, and like get into the conversation, and then they'll pick up on the fact that you know what you're talking about. Or you could be like, excuse me, I know about mitosis. You know, like you don't have to be abrasive.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I totally know where you're coming from, and that does drive me nuts. Mm-hmm. Like,
it takes you off guard, and it's like completely pointless. It's like, well, if you knew it, you could just say, oh yeah, I know it. You can dispense with the explanation.
Or simply just enjoy hearing somebody talk about something that you yourself feel passionate about. Like, why not? I
know there might be a teaching moment. Like maybe they know they got something wrong, and you're like, oh no, actually,
yeah, like there are things that I know that you know, and I enjoy hearing you tell me stories about it. It's like I already know that, but I like to hear your perspective, your unique perspective on things. And how is that bad? I don't understand that. Like, why is that a point of contention? Doesn't make any sense. Maybe it's because we're both dudes, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know why that would matter though. Like, it's people just don't think about thinking enough. Like, why do we think the way we do? Why do we behave the way we do? What thoughts drive that? What thoughts trigger certain behaviors? You know, maybe I'm a weirdo because I actually think about these things and try to adjust them and tweak them and fine tune them. Mm-hmm. And this is where I've landed. And sometimes I do sit there and think, am I a dick? You know, like everyone tells me I'm a dick, but like,
well, I haven't told you you're a dick.
No, but like a lot of people do.
And I know you really, really well.
I mean, like, there's also a lot of people that think I'm like the sweetest guy on the planet and the most thoughtful.
Yeah.
It's funny, right? Like to have those two polar opposites where people are like, you're such a heartless dick. And then, oh, you're the most empathetic, thoughtful person I've ever met. Or, you know, like,
well, you know, when faced with a dichotomy like that, like, who's right at that point?
Well, I guess they're both right because it just depends on the situation, I suppose.
Well, it is subjective. I think.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm not a dick.
Well, no, but
I am a dick.
Like, just because it's subjective doesn't mean that one's own position is correct.
No, and really it speaks to a larger lesson that nobody is one or the other. It's always some kind of gradient. And
shades of gray.
They might lean one way or the other. But there is no pure evil. There is no pure good.
Yeah.
It's just a fact. Like, and that's what really bugs me about cancel culture or, you know, shit like this Will Smith and Chris Rock thing where everyone's taking sides, and it's like, you know what? Like, who knows what they were going through at that moment?
Mm-hmm.
You could have very easily done the thing that the person you're siding against did in that moment.
Yeah.
Just depends, you know? Like, and maybe think about that before you make such a big deal of it. I mean, like, when I watched that video, and I only watched it once, and I gleaned everything I needed to. Will Smith laughed at first. He looked a little uncomfortable, and Jada didn't actually look that bothered by it. But that was just a camera angle. Will Smith saw something I didn't, and then he did what he did. And it was like an awkward moment. It's like when people get in a fight at a house party, and it's like everyone else is like, well, this is weird.
Player piano stops playing, and everybody's
Yeah.
like, "Oh."
And it's like you just made a big ass of yourself over something that kind of wasn't a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like Hitler walked into the room and like said some anti-Semitic shit or anything. You know, like you're blowing this way out of proportion.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Maybe I am a dick for thinking that people should strive to be better than they are. Yeah, I don't know.
I look, I've known you for a very, very long time, and yeah, there's some dickishness in there. But it's like lovable dickishness. Like ultimately, you're a very good person. So, and that's something that comes from knowing somebody for a really, really long time. Well, I mean, if you've been following this YouTube channel for the 3 years, 3+ years we've been doing this,
Yeah.
like you would know. But
I mean, I went through my own situation where um, the if you go several episodes back, you can see that the kind of uh, evolution of me being like groomed
mm-hmm.
toward getting married very quickly, and then having that whole narrative flipped as soon as she was done with me, and then took me to court, and now I'm seen as a criminal in the eyes of most people just because somebody pointed their finger at me, and that's all it took.
And that is no different than what happened here. I mean, this fortunately is a very sedate version of
Yeah,
that, but it's kind of the same sort of thing. Like
yeah,
dealing with the same effects, the same forces. Um, and well, it would behoove people to pay attention to that.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, I literally had a judge tell me, well, she has no evidence against you, but you said something nasty in response to her saying something nasty to you, so I'm going to go ahead and, ruin your fucking life. Uh,
fuck.
yeah,
Oh man,
that's what it's like having a penis.
don't please don't get me started on that. Oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah, we all have it tough, so.
But it really does parallel like the same kind of forces and the same kind of experiences exist.
Mhm.
Like, and we should be cognizant of that and aware of that, and not be too quick to judge. People are so fucking quick to judge. I oh
Yeah,
man.
where does that shit come from? Like, why?
Mm-hmm.
What is the point? why does everyone feel like they have to, bring down these judgments based on media portrayals of things that are happening? Like, that's all people go on. Like 99% of what people go on is what they're told.
Yeah, and chances are, I'm going to guess that most people, you out there, the viewers who are watching things, haven't actually seen the unfiltered, uncensored video of what actually happened. You saw some, CNN or Fox News version of that where everybody's telling you what to think.
Yeah.
And
here's how you do it. You have to look at what the facts are. Like, the media isn't inherently bad.
No, that's true.
It does give you facts. Like, if you see the video, right? Like, you see that there was a joke said, and you see that there was like some faces made, and then somebody walks up and slaps somebody, and then goes back to his seat and yells at somebody. These are things that you know. What you're doing is adding all these assumptions, like, this is how they feel. This is what, offends them, and this is what the intent was. You don't know that shit from a video. A 10-second video that was edited and like
yeah, especially a video that you don't see the entirety of it. They didn't show the whole thing and then just like, well, that's the end of the YouTube video. No, there was some stuff leading up to that, and then they telling you, kind of setting the stage, I guess. And then they show the video, very, very heavily edited. So it happens in a blink of an eye, so you can't possibly know what happened. And then they tell you what to think, and they bust out the panel of experts.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we have to talk about this. It's like, well, what the fuck is there to talk about? Dude made a joke about dude's wife, and then he reacted, and some stuff happened, and like,
and people act like roasting at the Oscars is unheard of. Like,
yeah.
Oh my god! Like, I honestly, like, I'm not trying to judge, but I don't even understand all this fascination. Like, I had no idea the Oscars were going on until this.
I didn't either.
Like, I don't give a shit about the Oscars. I don't even know what the fuck they are. Are they this? Are the Academy Awards and the Oscars one and the same? Because I always thought they were different, but I heard them used interchangeably after all.
They are different, but really, honestly, it's kind of the same.
Yeah,
thing.
like what is the real difference? Like, who the fuck cares? Like, I always thought it was dumb anyway, because they like do it like partway into the year, and it's for like the year, this entire year, the best movie of 2022, and it's March. Like, what? What? Well, what if something comes out in October and it's fucking awesome? We haven't got there yet.
Well, you have to just wait till 2023, I guess.
No, they'll forget about it because that's not 2023 anymore.
Yeah. Oh man.
Geez. I just don't understand most people.
It's a shit show, and honestly, it's very akin to politics.
It is, yeah. So much is political. Like,
yeah.
I mean, political correctness, which is what we used to call this, like the way we are now, like the hipster humanism, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's political. It's all political.
Mm-hmm.
It's this side versus that, me versus you.
Well, and I guess I would ask, like, why do those opinions even matter to begin with? Like, who fucking cares? I don't care if you're elected into a position. Like, you don't matter, honestly. I mean, you matter as a person, sure. But politics, does that really matter? Celebrity status, does that really matter?
What is politics really? Like,
Ooh.
is it placating people? Is that like what is
No.
the actual definition of politics? Because like I I was having a conversation with some coworkers today about like how certain people interact with the owner, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, so and so is really good at the politics, and it's like, well,
What?
does that just mean they're like a sycophant, like, or like what does that actually mean? Like, and to me, it just sounds like placating people.
Well, a dictionary definition of politics is the set of activities associated with making decisions in groups or forms of power relations among individuals. I don't understand that one,
Hmm.
such as distribution of resources or status, which really makes things confusing.
Yeah. Huh.
Uh, well, it sounds bullshit to me. Like, it
Yeah.
sounds a lot like religion, honestly. Um, I
Yeah. Really does.
yeah,
Yeah. Humans. They're
can't
weird.
live with him. Can't live with him.
Yeah, I think our experiment on this planet is done. We should head home.
Yeah, probably time to do so. Well, should I snap my fingers or should you? Hmm.
To be Q, that would be
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
Although I do, there are people I know who don't like Q in the Star Trek universe and think he's kind of like, or the Q people are sort of like a bunch of dickheads and stuff. It's like, well, they did challenge humans to sort of break out of their shell and challenge some of the things that people thought was the norm.
They
Uh,
stirred things up when it started to get complacent.
yeah. Like
It's like, oh, you think you're hot shit because you've gone and explored the stars. Well, you've still got a lot. Like Final Frontier, my ass. Like,
yeah,
you
exactly.
really need to keep looking further and deeper and
Hmm.
challenging yourself. And yeah, you know what? Like, there is an argument to be made for the Q continuum being like the good guy.
I, that is kind of how I view things.
Yeah.
Um, oh man.
Not that we strictly have a Star Trek channel, but that actually would be a good episode. We
Oh,
should
it
have
would.
Trek Jones on for that.
Yeah, we should. Oh man, the Q were the good guys. Oh shit. Well, way to like do this circuitous route and inject Star Trek. Of course, we always will. Star Trek or Red Dwarf. We'll
uh-huh.
make it happen. Um, man, and talking about the human condition and it's yeah.
I mean, yeah, any challenge to the human condition, or like the status quo of the human condition
Mm-hmm.
at that time, right? Like,
Yeah.
which is kind of what we're doing. We're basically saying, like, all these people are getting up in arms about a bald joke. It wasn't even really a bald joke. It was like if you're able to use your own wit to figure out that it was making an allusion to her haircut, you got the joke. Pat yourself on the back, like, and let yourself laugh, because you congratulations, you've just discovered what funny is. When
Exactly.
when you recognize the wit that somebody uses to draw comparison between two things, that's humor in a really clinical, scientific, not funny way of explaining humor. I
And
mean,
it
right?
wasn't
Like,
like a trying to demean anybody or diminish them. Like it was just like, hey, this is a joke.
yeah,
Um,
humor is pretty much always a comparison.
oh
It's
well, it's reliant on that.
yeah.
Like the thing is, I do feel like humor is dead now.
Hmm.
Seeing that, that like if that's not a thing that people can do
Yeah.
without
Pe-
repercussions.
People want like a joyless existence, from what I can tell, because yeah, nothing is allowed to be funny anymore. Like,
Mhm.
we're told what funny is. We're not allowed to police what people should or should not be offended by, but we can totally police what people should or should not laugh at.
Yeah,
Tell me why that's different.
that's a really, really good point. Oh shit.
Like, I would argue that it's better to police what somebody should or should not be offended by, because that's like, to not do that is enforcing a weakness. It's basically saying, go ahead and be hurt by something innocuous. That's fine. You have the right to do that. But if you want to like experience joy at something innocuous, well, fuck you.
Well, and
You know?
who determines what's innocuous and what's not?
Yeah.
That that is the thing.
That's really between the joker and the jokey.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh shit. I
Wow,
have.
we've gone into like, what is humor?
Oh shit. We have. Oh man. But I don't know. Like the important thing is like addressing very difficult things. Think how else can you address cancer? How can you make people feel better about that? What? But does everybody have to sob and rend their hair? Or can we make jokes? Is it okay to maybe make light of that? Because for the sake of the people who are going through that. I,
And if that's not what you want to hear, uh, I mean, that
I
sucks. But like,
channel, like I mean, just saying, change the channel.
yeah, you, like Mick Jagger said, you can't always get what you want,
Yeah.
and sometimes that's life. Like, oh, if you're fishing for sympathy and you get a joke, well, you're fishing in the wrong pond, I guess. Like, chalk it up to whoops, wrong pond. Don't be like, wow, what a fucking dick. They should have known that I wanted sympathy. They should have read my mind and been like, oh, poor baby, instead of making a joke. Well, like, here's the thing. Like, goes back to the golden rule, right?
Mm-hmm.
treat people as you would treat yourself. That's all we can do because we aren't mind readers. Platinum rule is bullshit. Treat people as they want to be treated only works if they tell you right up front, hey, I would like some sympathy from you. But you can't just glean that.
No,
you're going to do like
clairvoyant. Like,
yeah. Love languages are a thing because it's like we're basically, psychology is telling us we love people in the way that we want to be loved.
Yeah.
That's just nature. That's how we operate. We can't help but be egocentric because we have no other way of seeing the world.
Oh, damn. Oh, ooh,
like,
that's really good.
It may be selfish, but it is what it is. You can't be any other way.
I don't consider selfishness a bad feature. But yeah, you're right. That
selfishness, no, self-serving maybe, but like,
yeah,
like manipulating situations for your own benefit. Yeah, not so cool, but like,
yeah,
but to like make yourself feel good, it's not a bad thing.
Well, yeah,
why should it be? Like,
yeah, we're all going through a bunch of shit, so well,
yeah.
Like
if you don't like a joke, ignore it, walk away, change the channel, come up with a better joke that shuts that person down. Like, there's so many different ways to handle a situation other than like, like falling down and be like, ah.
Peter Griffin, like,
like, oh man, why do you gotta be a little bitch about everything? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's probably a dickhead thing to say.
Oh, might have been.
Cancel KS, hashtag cancel KSM.
Good luck. Go ahead.
Please do cancel us, because then we would actually get famous.
We would. Yes, exactly. No news is good news.
Hey, did you hear about this channel that we need to cancel? Oh no, I better go watch it so I can find out why I want to cancel it. And then people will be like, oh wait, this is really cool.
We get more views from cancelers. Oh man,
I swear that would work. I really want this channel to get canceled so that people finally discover how awesome we are.
It would, and it is an awesome channel. Like, we're gonna change the world someday. Yeah. Sorry, Floyd. I know. Good kitty. Well, so I think
we've drained the well of figuring out what hurt feelings are all about, and humor, and
I mean, I don't know, but this cat, yes, I know.
Hey man, my cat died a little while ago and you're petting your cat. You're a fucking dick.
What an asshole.
You shouldn't be petting your cat in front of me because my cat died.
It's okay. It's okay. This cat's gonna die soon enough.
Ooh, that sounded menacing.
Too soon?
See how easy it is to laugh at dark shit.
Yeah, like, exactly.
People don't have a sense of humor, and I find that sad.
That is a really good point, because
sympathize,
like, well, it's a way people that might not necessarily be able to readily connect can connect, and it's a way to deal with, like, really, frankly, difficult to deal with situations.
Yeah. I think it shows like a lack of emotional intelligence if
Mhm.
you're unable to like see humor in anything or like most things. You know, because people that are emotionally immature tend to be more offended easily, right?
Mhm.
Like, like kids picking on each other has a lot more weight than adults picking on each other. And that's because of emotional intelligence and maturity and stuff. Um, so I think the people that get all up in arms and offended, especially offended by things that aren't even directed at them, that's really immature.
Mhm.
Like, grow up.
Well, yeah, I, I
Grow up,
agree.
lighten up. Like,
Lighten up. You know that. Yes, lighten up.
whatever you got to do,
Well,
smoke a bowl or like get some hypnosis like I did. Like I used to be such a tight ass, and then I got some hypnosis, and I was just like, yeah, whatever. Like I just chilled out. Like it worked. Like,
uh, well, yeah, lighten up. Yeah, yeah, life sucks. Shit happens.
you better
Things.
laugh at it, or you're gonna have a real miserable time.
Yeah, exactly. But it like don't take things too seriously.
like, I'm I'm going through a period of a lot of depression right now. Yet I laughed a lot today.
Hmm.
And you might think that those things can't coexist, but if you think that they can't, you're gonna get stuck in a dark place real easy.
Yeah.
Like the way out of dark places is by finding humor.
Humor. Yeah.
Humor is the rung of the ladder that gets you out of a dark hole.
Oh yeah.
Like if somebody's laughing at something and you squash that, you're driving them further into a depression.
Oh yeah. Like, oh
You're the
well, no.
dick.
That actually, yes, you're right. Like, oh, you can't laugh at that because you must be depressed. You better be unhappy about things, or else.
Yeah.
Like, well, what's wrong with just having a laugh about something? Like, honestly, these are things that most humans have been through. Uh, like in some
It's like
form or another.
there's like superhero theme music in the background in their head, and they're like, somebody's laughing. I better put a stop to this.
Okay, if we could like monetize songs, I have a perfect song for that. But um hey Floyd, I know, good kitty, yes. Oh, Mr. Scruffles, yes.
Well, if you think we're just a bunch of dicks and you have a real good explanation for why, leave it in the comments. Because or if you're watching the premiere, there's a live chat over there, and you can live chat all about it, even though in a few minutes that's going to disappear. Because we're kind of winding down. But you know, talk about shit. That's the point. Like, if
Yeah.
if you don't find something funny, um, well, first of all, that's a personal problem. You don't have
Yeah.
to make it everyone else's problem. And however you choose to deal with that, try not to impact others that much. Like, if you don't find so if you don't like peanut butter, you don't have to ruin somebody else's enjoyment of Reese's peanut butter cup.
Ooh.
Uh, like I don't like peanut butter and chocolate that much, but I'm not like oh, Reese's are the devil. You shouldn't be eating Reese's. You know, it's like lots of people love it. You know, like rock on, go for it. You know, like I'm eating less so you can have more. So there you go. You know,
well, and that's kind of one of the things. Like somebody says, like, "Oh, I don't like such and such." I'm like, "Well, more for me."
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you know, that's an opportunity to be like, oh, what do you like? Oh, well, I don't like that, so you can have that, and I'll have that, and you know, like,
Yeah,
everyone's happy. Look at that.
Exactly. Well, isn't that what the goal is? For everyone to be happy? Like, why?
Not for these selfish people that just want to make other people miserable.
Well, that was my point. Like, why would people want other people to be miserable? I mean,
It's so funny. Like, all these sanctimonious, high and mighty people are actually the dicks. Like, they're actually the fucking assholes in this whole scenario.
I think you're right.
Like,
holy shit.
Like, cue the Grinch music. Oh, you're laughing at something? Well, I'm going to tell you why you're a bad person for laughing at that. And then you like get that like big grin that like curls up. Like,
oh, geez. Now I feel a meme coming on. But
you're a mean one, Mr. Will Smith.
Oh man. Wow. Well, that okay. That's a deep episode.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
who would have thought Will Smith and Chris Rock going at it over a bald joke would be such a deep episode?
Well, I knew it would.
Yeah.
Why didn't you know that?
By season 4, people should be coming to expect that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we could take anything and make it deep.
It's true. Oh yeah.
Slowly and hard.
So deep. Puts her ass to sleep. Oh. Anyway. Sorry.
All right. Well, I guess that's probably a good point to stop deep sink diving into what humor is, people being offended by humor, good jokes, bad jokes, good people, bad people.
Yeah, and you know, leave a comment down there in the comment section. Down there. And you know, stay tuned for the song at the end. There's going to be a really cool song.
Oh yeah, I hear it now. Yeah.
Oh, ooh.
That's
oh, yeah, raise the roof. Oh man, that's gonna be
all right. Well, have a good night.